Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to take a look at the D23 footage that was released today. Is basically the second trailer for Star Wars Episode 9. Now, before I get into this, I would like to say that there's really only 30 seconds of new footage in this trailer. The trailer itself is about 2.5 minutes long, or 2 minutes 20 seconds, and the opening about minute and 20 seconds of the trailer is just clips from the previous 8 Star Wars films. And they go in order. They go from original Star Wars, Empire, Jedi, then they go into the prequel trilogy, and then they do Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and then they get to the new footage. So if you actually want to see the new footage, skip ahead to about 120 on the trailer, and that's when you start hitting the actual new footage from Episode 9. Now, in this trailer, we see a couple of things, or in this 30 seconds, we see a couple of things that are a bit interesting that we might be able to draw some conclusions from. The rest of it is just basically kind of locations. We see what looks like this big... I can't tell if it's a desert or like a forested area or something like that, or plains. It seems like this is probably the planet. We have Rey and Finn and Poe all together, so this seems like this would be the planet where they find the remnants of the Death Star and stuff like that. And then we go through and we start seeing, okay, we see a little bit of force power. There's stuff from Rey, and there's a scene where she throws a lightsaber through a tree. It looks like might be building some kind of structure out in the woods. Again, it's a forest. It feels a lot like Endor, so probably is Endor. And we don't see any Ewoks, surprisingly, though. I was a little bit surprised at that we didn't see Ewoks, but. As we go through that, we then see a few other things. We see Kylo Ren. He gets off his ship and he just immediately lights up his lightsaber. And he's walking towards something. We don't really see what that is. We see a little bit of Rey and Kylo fighting on what looks like remnants of the Death Star that's floating in the water, which is which we've already seen a still shot of from some. Production shots that were put out by Disney, so we get a little bit of that, and then the big one is at the very end, where actually, sorry, even before I get to that, there are two other scenes in there that don't appear to be linked all that much. There's one where it looks like there is a rebel fleet that's coming out of hyperspace. And there's another one where it shows a literal, just a huge collection of what looks like Star Destroyers, old school Star Destroyers, which is very interesting. Now, that could also just be from the silhouettes and stuff like that. They don't go very close in when it comes to taking a look at them, but looks like there's 100 of them just floating in the sky. Which is a pretty insane type of scene. The visuals for it actually look very good, but I backtracked a little bit, but let's jump forward again and go to the very end of the trailer. Now, there's something here that I think is something that we're seeing that's not it's something to grab you, but it's not necessarily genuine. And this is the advertising department doing kind of a dishonesty, from my opinion, if what I suspect is true. And that is that they show Rey with what looks like a double-bladed red lightsaber. She's in a cloak, and it looks like the two blades come up parallel to one another, and then they kind of flip down into like a Darth Maul style lightsaber. And I feel like this is something that it's one of two things. It's either a Force vision, which is similar to when Luke saw Vader in Empire Strikes Back inside the cave on Dagobah. It feels kind of like that. It's in the dark, or at least it appears to be in the dark. Although that could also be mood lighting too, because of they like to put the bad characters in the dark, so when they light up the red lightsaber and everything. They did that in Rogue One with Darth Vader, where he's in the dark and then you just see the lightsaber light up. But the other possibility is, and here's the other weird thing: we haven't seen anything involving Palpatine in any of these trailers except for the laugh at the end of the first one. Now, they released a poster during D23 of Episode 9 as well, which shows the scene of Rey and Kylo fighting on the Death Star debris. And then in the background of that is this huge image of Palpatine's face, smiling and laughing maniacally. And we're still not 100% sure how Palpatine actually factors into this film, whether or not he's a clone, like in the extended universe, whether or not he's he's in a holocron or something, or if this is actually him or if it's like something else. We're not 100% sure how he actually factors into this. And again, he was vaporized at the end of Return of the Jedi, so it's kind of strange. And it feels, again, like a nostalgia grab. And this entire trailer, I will say that, feels like a nostalgia grab. But the other possibility it could be with Rey is that is Palpatine using the Force to disguise himself, or possibly maybe he's jumping bodies or something like that. It could be a lot of strange things, considering that they're trying to not only retcon The Last Jedi to an extent in this film, but also to finish off this horrible sequel trilogy that they've started. So the J.J. Abrams, who is not necessarily a very talented screenwriter, is being tasked with doing something that even a seasoned veteran screenwriter who's done many great films would probably have an issue with, because you're cramming a lot into one movie in terms of trying to get the narrative all wrapped up. And in this case, with this trailer, I feel like the only stuff that they showed you was stuff to kind of grab your attention. They have a little shot in there too of like C-3PO with red eyes. It's like, okay, that's weird. Like, why the hell does he have red eyes? And again, they're kind of images that are just meant to grab you as opposed to make you kind of think about what's happening in the scene. It's like, oh, why does he have red eyes? And then like it just cuts away immediately. Like, okay, that was weird. And some of the stuff is like that you see is in the red lightsaber scene with Rey is another one where it's like, okay, you're really not necessarily thinking too much about the scene, but you're wondering like, why does she have a red lightsaber? Does she switch to the dark side? What happened? You're kind of wondering more what the lead up is rather than what it's leading into, which is kind of what the trailer should do. Is it should make you wonder what certain things are being led into, as opposed to what led to this point. You don't want to see, you don't want to see a trailer for the original Star Wars and then in the trailer you see the Death Star blow up, because you don't want to see that, because that kind of ruins most of the film. You don't want to see like, oh, so wait a minute, why did it blow up? What happened to this point where it's blowing up? It's kind of it's that basic idea. But again, this trailer feels like a cash grab or a nostalgia grab because of all of the first minute and 20 seconds of it. That's all it is just showing older Star Wars stuff, and most of it, stuff that they've really kind of wrecked in this sequel trilogy. So, it feels like they're trying to bank on nostalgia for this film because they know that they're dead in the water. And this trailer, again, feels very much like it's following that kind of a narrative. As usual, I will link the trailer below if you would like to see it. And as I mentioned before, if you would like to see the new footage, jump to 1:20 on the trailer, and you will see the new footage. But I would like to know what your thoughts are. Again, are you excited for Episode 9? Do you not give a shit anymore? Did The Last Jedi ruin all of it for you? Or, do you just want to see this massive Star Wars train wreck just come to a final conclusion? Put your thoughts in the comments. Again, I like to know what you're thinking. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?